What's up guys, Houndish here, and today, Destiny 2 gets a new hotfix. This is only the second hotfix, I believe, since the launch of Lightfall. And so as expected, there's plenty of opportunity for Bungie to fix a bunch of stuff and make a handful of changes, which is indeed what they've done today. So this is hotfix 7005, and as always, there are some minor fixes that don't necessarily impact all players. But then they've made other adjustments, including increasing the drop rate for exotic armor in lost sectors. There are also some updates to artifact mods, fixes for problems with exotics, including an adjustment to the Winterbite exotic glaive, Titan Syntheseps, and a fix for Garfalcon's Hauberk. But on top of that, there are a couple of adjustments for abilities as well, including ones for Strand, and changes to Guardian ranks, where they give us a little bit of extra insight. And on top of this, there are additional adjustments to Neomuna, the regularity of the Vex Incursion event, and plenty of other things which we'll talk about in the video. And so, as always guys, I hope you find this one useful, and if you do, be sure to get subscribed, and give us your thoughts on any of the changes down in the comment section. But without further delay, let's get into it. And so initially today, a couple of extra updates from Bungie outside of the patch specifically. And for Neomuna, they've made a couple of updates. So for Neomuna activities, they say they've increased the spawn chance of the Vex Strike Force public event. And of course, that's the rare event that grants guaranteed exotics upon completion. There definitely have been some feedback about how rare it was, so we should be seeing that more regularly. But also they say that the Terminal Overload Director launch node will now more consistently matchmake with other players launching from the node. So hopefully we'll see slightly fewer of those very empty lobbies after kicking off the event. So those are a couple of positive changes that I believe they've made server-side. Additionally though, they said due to an issue, they've temporarily disabled the activity rejoin checkpoint for the Sorrowbearer encounter of Duality. And that's the Gowron checkpoint where players were going in and farming armor. And of course, without being able to rejoin that, it'll be difficult to farm it and transfer checkpoints and all that stuff. So there we have it, not necessarily surprising that they would fix that issue in the game. Now though, getting on to the updates from the hotfix today. Initially for player journey, Bungie say they've increased the drop rate for exotic armor in Legend and Master Lost sectors when playing solo. There had been a handful of complaints about how regular the drops actually are in the Lost sectors at the moment, so a bit of a buff to those right there. And of course for players who are just getting to the kind of power level where you might want to tackle those Lost sectors, this is going to be a pretty good change, especially when acquiring the new exotics from Lightfall. On top of this, they fixed a problem that prevented the Vex Incursion Countermeasures weekly bounty from resetting at reset, and that's Nimbus's weekly bounty. Obviously, we're not on a weekly reset right now, so if you were affected by that again on Tuesday, I'm not certain just yet as to whether we'll be able to pick the bounty up, but at least moving forward, it will allow us to get those partition missions completed. And on top of this, they fixed a problem where players on their alternate characters could not progress the Hall of Heroes intro quest after interacting with the statues early, and any players who ran into the issue may now progress normally. So some good quick fixes right there. Then for armor, they say they fixed a problem where some artifact mods were not properly proccing anti-barrier capabilities, so those should be more consistent. And for hunters, they fixed an issue where volatile rounds weren't being granted by equipping the Garfalcon's Hauberk exotic chest armor, and that blocked void weapons from anti-barrier capabilities. Then for the armor scavenger mod, they fixed an issue where Jotun would get an unintentional boost in ammo, particularly in PvP, and that was when the solar scavenger mod was equipped on a player's chest armor. They add, we should put the toaster down. I totally agree, why don't you just delete it from the game? Just kidding. Next though, for weapons, they fixed a problem where the Winterbite exotic glaive was doing more damage than intended to targets. And that's why it was disabled during the raid. We'll have to get our hands on that and see exactly how it feels. Hopefully, it's still going to feel plenty powerful. Then for Titans, the bonus to glaive melee damage granted by Syntheseps has been reduced against both combatants and enemy guardians. So that's another one we'll have to test out. Hopefully they'll still be useful. But then they fixed an issue where Lightfall versions of the Inquisitor and Mindbender's Ambition shotguns had the incorrect magazine perks. And another problem where Grand Overture's blinding effect applied to other sources of splash damage. So a mixed bag of changes right there. And next we get to abilities. So for Strand, they've increased the internal cooldown of the Thread of Ascent fragment from 2 seconds to 4 seconds. And that's the fragment that allows activating grenade ability to reload equipped weapons and grant bonus airborne effectiveness. They also fixed a problem where after a player grappled to a thrown tangle, the Berserker's Into the Fray aspect would fail to activate on further tangle detonations. And another issue where the suspending detonation from Broodweaver's Mindspun Invocation aspect was not properly stunning unstoppable champions. Then there's one for Solar here, and they fixed an issue where the Radiant effect was not increasing the damage of Strand weapons. And finally, another issue where the Thread of Generation fragment would stop functioning after a Silk Strike super deactivation when either the Shackle or Threadling grenade is equipped. out. So a mixed bag there. Some of those fixes are certainly positive, but of course we're seeing a couple of minor reductions for some other elements, so give us your thoughts. And in general, they fixed an issue where Guardians and their weapons were not rendering properly, effectively making them appear as invisible when in-game. So that's the invisibility issue, partially at least, and then on top of that, the Twitch gift sub-bounty reward now correctly appears in the Cryptarch. For power and progression though, and Guardian ranks, they say to more closely match the goals of Guardian ranks, we've reduced the required commendation score to complete objectives across all of those ranks. And they say for rank 8 objectives, they will require tier 3 difficulty or higher, and they fixed an issue where only tier 4 or higher applied towards rank progression. And for commendations, players can no longer offer commendations to others followed a failed mission activity. So I guess that's to reduce farming. And obviously the rank changes right there are positive. But for the final couple of items here, the seasonal exotic activity, they made animation changes to the data collection boss encounter in the variable mission that had the potential to cause issues with photosensitive players. They made an adjustment to how the return to orbit option is triggered after completing a specific battleground, and previous implementation enabled mistakenly skipping the end of mission cinematics when returning to orbit. So again, a mixed bag right there, some stuff that we'll have to go and test out in the game, especially a couple of the exotics and abilities, but otherwise some positive fixes as well, so give us your thoughts on those in the comments section. The last thing right here though, for today Bungie just posted a new insights video for the Root of Nightmares raid, so on top of a load of juicy gameplay, we also get a look at some pre-alpha builds, and it's interesting to see how the gameplay space has changed over time. Additionally though, there's loads of cool cinematic footage and extra insights about how they brought this raid together, so we're going to play a couple of highlights from that at the end of the video right here, including a section where they talk about the new raid exotic. But if you want to check them out in full, I will link that in the description box below. And for today, guys, that's everything that we have to speak about in the video. So, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this one today. Give us your thoughts on the patch changes that they've made down below. And if the video has been useful, a rating below also really helps us out. Plus, feel free to get subscribed to the channel so I can keep you posted with everything related to the game. Otherwise, though, for today, cheers for tuning in, and I will catch you guys very soon.
Our whole process starts off with a huge brainstorming session. Everyone that's a part of Raids and Dungeons gets to join it. As that develops, we get core ideas of what we want to pull out, and then from there, designers come in and pick up the idea. So like Skizzen was a big one. For that encounter, we developed jump pads that you can shoot and launch as your character across the arena, and we're like, oh, that's really fun. After some testing where people died a bunch.
Only a few times.
Only a dozen or so.
It's fine.
The final shape awaits. Your fear brings you pain. We know pain.
Nezarec is sort of like, this father of nightmares. He's got these horns that are reminiscent of the exotic helmet. He's got spikes all over his body. It's got like these animal patterns on it.
I want to experience this world with my new perspective.
He's broken up into a bunch of pieces and he's dead, but he gets revived using the Traveler's Light. So he becomes half nightmare, pyramid sort of creature, half light.
When you see something in front of you in the game, and then it looks angry, and it has a beast, kind of like animal sense to it, and it moves, you want to get out of the way.
The Raid Exotic is a shotgun. It's this double barrel shotgun that's like flaming on one side and there's ice coming out on the other. And I was like, whoa. And I had people and friends and tests that like aren't even involved in raids. I'm like, yo, you gotta check this out.
It feels so unreal in the best way, blending both light and darkness. It will fire first its stasis shot, and then it will fire its solar shot.
Very opposite ends of the spectrum, both dark and cold.
Right,
the other
yeah.
being light and hot.
Something about wielding that just in a quick 1-2 kind of sets my brain alight, and also plays very nicely with the themes of the raid.
I cannot wait to use it.
You can assume it drops.
I just have to get it first.